So, what is really inflation? What causes it? And what is the impact of inflation in your daily life? I promise, if you stay on this video to the end, you will understand exactly how inflation could be used to rob the poor. And if you live in any part of Africa, it could even be worse. Follow carefully. Inflation is generally when prices of goods and services increase rapidly over time, meaning that your money is able to buy less items than it used to buy. Milton summarized inflation better by saying that it simply means more money in the economy chasing fewer goods. Let me explain that. Let's assume the entire market of Ghana is in Accra Mall, serving everybody in the country. And one day, the central bank reduces interest rate, lowers the requirement for loans, allowing people to take more loans, and the government increases salaries for workers to have more money in their pockets. What do you think would happen? Everybody would rush to Accra Mall to buy whatever they need. And within few months, when the mall realize their products are running out of stock and their suppliers are not supplying enough to meet the demands of their customers, they would simply inflate or increase their prices. And with time, prices of the same goods and services would go so high that even though people might still have some money on them, they can no longer afford to buy the same stuff they used to buy with the same amount of money. This is what we call inflation. The mall represents the entire country, and the customers in this scenario are the citizens of the country. But what are the true causes of inflation? And this is where they rob you and I, the middle class. Follow carefully. Economics may have several boring theories to explain the causes of inflation. But when it comes to Africa, I would say inflation is caused by two major intentional factors. Limited production companies is one of the biggest creators of inflation in most African countries. When you take a closer look at almost all African countries, you would realize that the large production companies whose production form the backbone of the economy are very limited in number. So here's what I suspect they do. Those large but limited production companies may come together and agree to produce but hoard their products in order to cause a shortage in the market. When the goods in the market no longer meet demand, they would simply raise their prices and begin steady distribution into the market again. Here's how they rob us. You and your brothers control the market. So you meet up and plan to produce but keep your goods at the warehouse and pretend you don't know what is happening. When the market begins to complain about shortage of products and services, you simply raise your prices and supply once more into the market. This way, you would always produce your product at a cheaper cost, but able to sell at higher prices for much more profit. And if you don't agree with this suspicion, research about the Association of Ghana Industries, the Ghana Employers Association, and the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Find out the functions of these groups to their members, and you will be dismayed. Number 2, excessive printing of money by the government is the craziest cause of inflation in many African countries. You see, the currency of a country should be backed by the value of its real assets, such as lands, buildings, factories, infrastructure, natural resources, production, and human capital. In other words, the amount of money circulating the economy should be equal or near equal the value of all the assets of the country. Here's the deal. Because economies keep growing, governments sometimes print money through their central banks to compensate the growth. Unfortunately, due to high debt of many African countries, poor economic planning, mismanagement, and the almighty corruption, many African governments force their central banks to overprint monies that surpass the real value of their economies. And here's the thing though, once the money in supply increases much faster than the growth of the value of the real economic asset, inflation becomes inevitable. In Ghana, for instance, between 2019 and 2023 alone, the currency in circulation jumped from 14 billion cedis to a whopping 44.55 billion cedis, representing more than 200% increase in money circulation. Meanwhile, real GDP within the same 5-year period only increased by approximately 15 to 20%. So you see, there was a lot more money printed and circulated to cover government's expenditure, while there were fewer goods and services produced in the economy within the same period. Tell me why you wouldn't suffer hardship. Next time when your government says the economy is recovering, ask who made it sick in the first place. But how do you protect yourself against this hook? First, you must stay informed. Whenever you listen to news, pay attention to key statements like this. We are considering monetary expansion or currency debasement. It means your government is about to print cash. And when you hear reduction in policy rate by the central bank, it means they have reduced interest rate on loans and money is about to go viral like a TikTok video. Number 2, minimize cash holdings and invest in assets whose price value increase with inflation. And don't forget to buy foreign currency. You might be preparing to double your money. Number 3, buy products in bulk. Purchasing non-perishable goods in bulk before inflation is almost like an investment opportunity in Africa. The Bible says in all you're getting, get wisdom. But I say that if you're in Africa, in all you're getting, don't only get wisdom, but apply it. Otherwise, you might not survive it. This entire video was not a financial advice.